Welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage. This podcast is dedicated to helping attorneys earn more money, get better clients, and spend more time with family. I'm your host, Alay and founder of law firm Success Group. Smart business guidance for small law firms begins in 3, 2, 1. And it's my pleasure to welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage Matthew Fornaro with Fornaro Legal. Matthew, how are you today?
I'm good, Alay. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Excited to be on this podcast. As you said, it's late on a Thursday, and we're wrapping this up and heading into the weekend. So that's always a fun time. Do you prefer Matthew or Matt, by the way?
Matthew's cool.
Matthew's cool. All right, very very nice. So you have a really interesting story. You were with an AmLaw 200 law firm, and
Yeah,
then
but
you left and you started your own firm. And this is a story that, I may have heard once or twice, but everyone's story is different and unique. Love to hear about what it was that made you decide to leave AmLaw 200, which is the destination for so many lawyers, and actually take the brave step of starting your own law firm.
sure. Well, it's actually two AmLaw 100 law or two AmLaw 200 law firms, and I actually was ready to go to the 10th largest law firm in the world. And this was about number 10 again, 10 years ago. And, I basically came to the point in my career where I was just like, how much longer am I going to be a cog in the wheel and just doing whatever, that I'm given. And then I kind of just, float through just working, trying to earn my way up through the law firm or whatever. So like I said, I was at two different firms. I went from one firm to a bigger firm that was, like more uh, apparent, more prestigious, whatever. And then I got an offer because I used to focus heavily on a very niche litigation practice that I was pretty good at. And so I got an offer from a really, really big law firm to go work there to do that litigation. But I was, like I said, I was like, am I going to be pigeonholed into doing this litigation for the rest of my life? I'm like, I want to do other things and I want to develop clients and I want to speak to clients and I want to go out into society and do things as an attorney and not just be stuck behind a desk. So I decided to go form my own law firm. So I turned down that job offer and I basically left my job and went out and started my own firm. That was almost 10 years ago. And, I've grown every year since, and it's been probably the best choice I made as an attorney, business wise, I've ever made.
Congratulations on that move. And what are the things that make it the best decision that you've made business wise?
Well, and looking at some of my contemporaries who stuck around at Big Law and, where they are now, like, yeah, they're partners or whatever, but their quality of life is not really that great, or their, just things they do, their relationships with their families, their whatever, are just not what I would want to be at in my point in my life where I'm able to do that with my own law firm, where, obviously there's a trade-off. Like I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks paid ACH into my account. I have to go out and work, otherwise I don't get paid. But at the same time, I'm not obligated to go, make sure I'm the first one in the office and make sure I'm the last one out of the office and make sure, the partners see I'm doing work or whatever. So I don't have to do that anymore. And I'm more flexible. I'm able to hang out with, my wife and my kids and do stuff and go on vacations. And it's just a way better lifestyle than it was previously or what it would have been if I would have stayed there.
Love that. How old are you kids?
My son's 16, my daughter's 13.
Oh, very cool. So our
So
kids are
yeah.
similar ages.
So
My son's 17 and my daughter's 14. So
yeah, so you're right there. So
yeah. How long have you had your firm?
9 years.
All right. Yeah. So I have my coaching business for a little bit more. I opened up the doors in 2013, so about 11 years. And I understand exactly what you're saying because I was at startup companies. Um, didn't like that lifestyle for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned and quit my job to open my coaching practice. And everything you said is absolutely true. Like we got to go out and we have to earn the money for sure, or we don't get paid. But the quality of life opportunities are transformative. Um, and I'm not sure about your situation or anything like that, but at least in my case, um, there was a ceiling in corporate America, and it was very hard to break through that. And it's not I'm talking about a glass ceiling or anything like that. It's just a salary ceiling, and to break through that was really, really tough. It was much
Yeah,
easier for me to grow my income in my own firm.
yeah, no, it's the same thing with a law firm. I mean, there's a certain ceiling you hit, and unless for however you do it, because you're not really allowed client interaction, even though they kind of say like go develop business or whatever, unless you have like major clients or whatever. I mean, you do hit a salary ceiling or an equity ceiling or whatever, where you're never going to top that out. You're never going to do better than that. And the only way you're going to do better than that is if you get like, a top, like a top NASDAQ company or a top, whatever company to be your client. And for you to do that just as an individual doesn't really happen that much. So
Yeah.
yeah, topped out.
And so love the quality of life aspects of your own firm. I definitely connect with that. Um, how is your firm done for you? Like, do you have staff, attorneys? Are you in growth mode? Tell me a little bit about how your firm's doing.
Sure. So I have, kind of, I don't want to say tinkered with, but I've perfected my law firm model over the last 9 years where I've had like virtual associates, I've had an assistant, and now with the advent of AI, I've been able to replace human labor with AI labor. So now my law firm, I've gotten rid of my virtual associates and I replaced them with AI, for lack of a better term. And so it's been a learning curve, but it's also been great because my overhead is obviously much lower than it was previously, and my output is pretty much the same as it used to be. And the work product is just as good as it was previously. And there's also less, I would say, pushback or less issues with client relations related to billing based on my business model now versus when I had, my virtual associates working on stuff.
That is really cool. Let's dig into that a little bit.
Sure.
First of all, just to give the attorney entrepreneur some context, tell us about the kind of law you practice and the kinds of clients that are a good fit for your firm.
Sure. So, for everyday parlance, whatever, I'm a business law attorney. But what that means is I do like 90% commercial litigation, 10% transactional, and the majority of my clients are small and medium-sized businesses or people who deal with small and medium-sized businesses. And they're located not just in Florida, but all around. So that's the demographic that I cater to.
Got it. There's a ton of clients in that space, and certainly plenty of them in Florida, but like you said, outside of Florida as well. Um, so, what are the areas in your practice that you found AI to be most effective?
So, you know, the AI itself is a tool, okay? And you always have to, a lot of people think that it's a replacement for, hard work or it's, gonna go do things itself, whatever. It's a supplement and it's a tool to do your work. So if you treat it like that and you understand that ultimately you're still in charge of doing things and it's you have to make sure that everything's done correctly and you double check and you put in safety systems and stuff like that to make sure that, crazy stuff doesn't get out there, then it's fine. So as part of what I do, I have like, obviously ChatGPT, the 4.0 version. I have a platform that is called CoCounsel that used to be owned by a company called Case Text that's now owned by Westlaw, that they actually are upgrading actually on Saturday to version 2.0. So that'll be a little bit of a learning curve. But I use I use both of those together in order to review documents, manage documents, and assist in, just case management and things like that, that previously used to require like a person to do whatever, but now you can just have the AI break down like an entire set of discovery that gets sent to you, and it can, tell you what's what. It can give you summaries of everything and things like that. And then also with like the upgraded and most recently upgraded version of CoCounsel, it helps you drafting things too. So, at this point in my career, I mean, I've been on my own for 9 years, but I've been practicing for over 20 years. I mean, I've drafted a lot of documents that are pretty decent that have stood up over the course of time. So I can take my library of documents and continue to perfect them, update them with the latest laws and latest changes to like Florida statutes and rules, and continue to use them. And the AI helps with that.
Yeah, I think that's where I see there's just a ton of potential where you can take really good work product and feed it to the AI and train the AI on it, and it'll get better at generating those kinds of documents going forward. And then it's also nice because you can give them a piece of work and say, "Hey, update this for 2025 or whatever," and
Yeah.
it'll come back with red lines, and maybe they're accurate, maybe they're not, but it's
Yeah.
getting better and better.
Yeah. No, if you keep a rein on it and keep it very tight, most of it is accurate now. And then you kind of, you're the gatekeeper to make sure that stuff that isn't accurate, you fix. But most of it's pretty good now. It was kind of iffy a few years ago, but it's gotten way better. But particularly the co-counsel is totally law related. It's not like ChatGPT where it's, like a universal AI. So the co-counsel only draws from, the West Library of Legal Resources. So it's all, real law. It's not made up. There's no hallucinations or anything like that. It's all vetted. It's all, shepherdized law. So it's all good law to use. And each, obviously, you check it anyways, but it's still not going to give you hallucinations or things like that that other AI platforms used to give you.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight box, and they train it on specific informations and they constrain it. So that makes sense. Well, I love the idea about that. What has been your experience using AI more in client-facing situations where you're communicating with a client or they want to communicate with your firm?
It helps because it breaks down any kind of communication barrier that you may have with your client as far as, like if you're, just basic thoughts or basic things that if you want to communicate to your client, you don't want to like be too over the top law wise or whatever. It helps you figure out a way, like you can put together an email that's like in whatever terms you want. Like, you program it to say, write an email for the average college graduate written from, an attorney who's been practicing for whatever many years about this subject, but don't make it too over the top. And the AI will help you do it.
Yeah, I think that's really where a lot of the misconceptions around AI come from, right? People seem to think that the AI is not only an AI, it's also a mind reader. So
Yeah.
when you ask it to do something, it immediately knows exactly what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not true. And so the queries, like the requests of the AI have to be really, really specific. Or you just have to iterate and iterate and iterate to
Mhm.
really get down to something.
Yeah, no, it's all about, I mean, it's all about the input on the AI, no matter what AI platform you're using. You have to make it as specific as possible in order to rein in the work product that it generates. And the more specific you are, the better it is and the less problems it creates.
So you said something that I remember, which was about, I think you said billing. On the billing side, there's fewer issues with the implementation of AI. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, you heard that right.
Okay.
Here's an example. Like in the past, my associates would work on a project and maybe wouldn't be as efficient as they should be. And I'd even write down their time and I wouldn't pass it along to my clients. I'd write down the time or whatever. And you send the client the bill and they're like, even with the written down time or whatever, like, what the hell is going on here? Why did it take so long to put together whatever versus the AI? where it cuts out all that buy time and that lead time, and it just goes straight to the heart of it. And then since it doesn't take that much time, you pass along that savings to the client, which they're much happier now because they've actually got either the same or better work product, and they've got it for, 10% of the cost that it was previously.
Wow, that is huge. So um, they're not seeing really hardly any staff time now.
Correct. The staff time has been cut out by the AI, and a lot of the overhead and a lot of, you want to call it fat, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
a lot of wasted time and everything's been cut out by the AI because the AI is just efficient and doesn't, you know, other than putting in the data and putting in the inputs and putting in the control, it doesn't require you to like spend a 30-minute phone call with it to explain to it the situation and what you're looking for, or it doesn't require, you to send me a draft for me to look at, then send back to you, then send back and forth or whatever. Essentially, it sends you, you work with it, whatever, and it'll put together the best draft possible, and then you just revise it, and then that's it.
That is pretty wild. Where do you see this? Where do you see yourself implementing AI next in your firm?
Just continue to stay, I mean, there's people who are really, really on the cutting edge of using AI in law firms. I mean, there's my friend who's also a business law attorney in the same area, but we don't, we actually collaborate. We don't compete
Sure.
against others another. He's really on the cutting edge of AI, but he gets his information because he's part of like a chat group or whatever. He gets his information from a guy who's light years beyond anywhere where we are right now as far as using the AI. So, it's just going to continue to not just trickle in, it's going to pour into the practice of law where not just small firms like mine, but actual big firms are going to start using it. I know a lot of big firms are using CoCounsel now, and I know a lot of them are getting, beaten by AI if they're not using it yet.
Yeah, and I can see that the clients are going to push back on that too. And a lot of law firms are worried about using AI in their legal practice. They're concerned the clients are going to be upset. And I can see that. I can also see clients being really happy when they get that bill.
Yeah.
It's a lot less
No, I
than they
mean
were
it's a
expecting.
it's a trade-off. And I mean, as long as, like I said, as long as you keep the work product in check and you're the ultimate gatekeeper of the work product and you check everything and you verify everything, you refine everything, then there's, no issue with it. If you're just blindly letting stuff go out there, then you're going to have problems. And that's all the stuff you've seen in the media about people, people who just, get a pleading from Chat GPT and go turn it into the court. I mean, that's totally irresponsible. And then, I mean, that's why you've seen disasters. Like, I know the one example from probably a year or a year plus ago was this law firm in New York where they were submitting pleadings in federal court in the Southern District in New York, which is probably the last place you ever want to submit something that you're not 100% certain on. And they submitted pleadings that were totally hallucinated that
Completely fabricated.
they
Yeah.
didn't even check the citations on, and they
Yeah.
called them out on it and sanctioned them on it.
Yeah, we're out here in California, and and even I heard about that one. It was just crazy. Um, so there's definitely a lot of interesting developments happening in AI, and I'm glad to hear that you're taking advantage of them. And Matthew, what is next for you and your firm over the next year or so?
We're going to continue to refine our use of technology. Like I said, I'm excited about the new version of CoCounsel that comes out because it's going to make things actually not easier but better as far as law firm, not just practice management but execution of things, particularly litigation. So I'm just going to continue to integrate that into my practice and continue to refine being as efficient as possible over the next year, which is kind of what I've done the previous 9 years. So, I mean, like I said, luckily my revenue's gone up every year, including COVID, and my overhead last year went down significantly with the switch to AI. So, just
Awesome.
continue that trajectory.
Do you see yourself adding attorneys as you go forward, or are you more focused on keeping the size of the firm you have and just optimizing and doing everything you can with technology?
I'm pretty good where I am right now as far as my personnel, what I need, what I'm doing. And I don't really foresee the need to add any more people. I'll probably add more technology, but of course, be in charge of the technology, not just passively let it go
Right.
take over and do whatever. But um, just continuing to integrate the technology. And if I need more people, then I'll bring in more people but I'll have the people work with the technology to make sure that, we don't go back to a non-integrated like business model or something where, of course, they're working on the best possible cutting edge technology they can, particularly, the AI stuff.
Yeah, I have a client who's an attorney in Southern California, and he's pretty tech forward as well. He's not as far along on the AI side, but when it comes to looking at his business and how he runs his law firm as a business, he has some really cool spreadsheets and analytics that are driving his firm. And he likes to use advanced collaborative tools. And so that's been a big part of him hiring his next attorneys. He wants them to be tech forward as well. It's an
Yeah.
important thing you got to look for if you want to add that to your firm.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's just, it's another requirement to be an attorney now is that you not just have to, know the law and do whatever, but you have to be tech familiar. Because if you're not, you're going to be left behind.
Absolutely.
You're going to get beat by someone who is tech familiar.
Yeah, true. Matthew, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure, the easiest way is just to go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com, and it's got all my contact information, all my social media, and all my media on there.
Awesome. Matthew, I really enjoyed our conversation today. Shout out to the sponsors of this podcast, Counsel CPAs. They provide back office operations for law firms. Think accounts receivables, collections, bookkeeping, accounting. They do it all. They're phenomenal. Matthew Fornaro, thank you for being on the podcast today.
I thank you for having me. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Lawyer Business Advantage podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is for you to rate this show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in to listen. And I want to hear from you, so connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know what you think of this episode. And if you are a solo or an owner of a small law firm and you're looking to earn more money, attract better clients, or reduce your stress, we would love to talk with you to see how we can help. Request your free law firm assessment by visiting lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. Again, that URL is lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. We look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you for listening. My name is Alay Yajnik. Until next time, remember, you can seize freedom. You can embrace happiness. You can build your perfect practice.